If you've ever looked into why emails aren't landing in people's inboxes, you've probably come across the word DMARC at some point. And if you're like most people, you either skipped past it or you read about it and came out more confused than when you started. So today I'm going to explain what DMARC actually is, why it exists, and what DMARC monitoring means for your business. In plain English, no technical background needed. So to understand DMARC, we first need to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. Email is old. The basic system behind it was built in the 1970s and 80s. And back then, the people who designed it weren't thinking about scammers or hackers or spam, and they were just trying to get messages from one computer to another. So they left a pretty big hole in the design, and that hole is anyone can send an email that looks like it came from your domain. So what does that actually mean? Right now, someone could send an email to your customers, your suppliers, your staff, and it would look exactly like it came from you, the same domain, company name, and there's nothing in the original design of email that stops them from doing that. And that's called email spoofing. And it's behind a huge chunk of phishing attacks. Someone pretends to be a trusted brand, the recipient clicks a dodgy link or hands over their password, and that's it. Game over. According to the FBI, phishing is consistently the most common type of cybercrime reported each year, and a big part of what makes phishing so effective is this. It's just too easy to impersonate someone else over email. So what the email industry eventually said was, all right, we need to fix this, and the fix came in 3 parts: SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. Before we get to DMARC, you need to know what SPF and DKIM are because DMARC sits on top of both of them. SPF, which stands for Sender Policy Framework, is basically a list that lives alongside your domain, and it says, here are the mail servers that are actually allowed to send email on my behalf. So when someone receives an email that says it's from your domain, their mail server can check that list. Is this email coming from a server we trust? If yes, fine, and if not, then suspicious. Think of it like a bouncer with a guest list, and that bouncer checks your name. If you're on the list, you're in, and if you're not, sorry, not tonight. DKIM, which stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail, works a little bit differently. Instead of a list, it uses a digital signature. And when you send an email, your mail server stamps it with a signature. The receiving server can then check that signature to confirm the email came from you and hasn't been messed with along the way. It's like a wax seal on an old letter. And if the seal's intact, you know nobody's opened it or tampered with the letter. So SPF says, this server is allowed to send for my domain, and DKIM says this email was genuinely sent by my server and hasn't been changed. Both good, both important, but here's the gap. Neither one tells you what to actually do when either one of those fails. And that's the job of DMARC.
DMARC stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication Reporting and Conformance. Big name, simple idea. DMARC is a policy that you set for your domain that tells receiving servers, if an email claims to be from me and it fails those SPF or DKIM checks, here's what I want you to do with it. And you've got 3 options. The first is none. This is basically watch mode or monitoring mode. This is where you're not taking any action yet and you're just collecting information about what's happening with your email. Most people generally will start here.
The second is quarantine, where any email that fails authentication goes to the spam folder instead of the inbox. And then the third is reject, where if an email fails, it'll get blocked entirely, doesn't reach the recipient at all. Most security experts will recommend working your way up gradually. Start on none, understand what's happening, then move to quarantine, and then eventually reject once you're confident everything legitimate is passing. Which brings us to DMARC monitoring. The reports that DMARC generates are sent in a format called XML. And if you've never seen a raw XML file, just imagine a wall of code. It's completely unreadable to most people and not really for humans. DMARC monitoring is the process of taking those reports and making sense of them, turning them into something that you can actually understand and act on. A decent monitoring setup will show you a few key things. First, which sources are sending email on behalf of your domain, not just your own mail servers, but also any third-party tools you've plugged in. That could be your CRM, your email marketing platform, and all of these might be sending email on your behalf, and they all need to be properly set up and authenticated. Second, your pass and fail rates. What percentage of your email is successfully clearing SPF and DKIM? And then third, whether anyone unauthorized is sending email using your domain. If a source shows up that you don't recognize, that's a red flag worth investigating. And what you get from all of this is a running picture of your email health. So instead of finding out something's wrong when your open rates tank or when a customer tells you that they got a suspicious email from your company, you know about it early and when it's actually fixable. Why does any of this matter if you're running a business? Well, there's a few reasons. The first one is just deliverability. Approximately around 1 in 6 legitimate emails never will actually make it to the inbox because of failed authentication settings. The next reason is brand protection. If someone is sending phishing emails that look like they came from you, your customers are the ones who get burned. And even if they figure out it wasn't really from you, that trust is going to be hard to get back. Third reason is compliance. Google and Yahoo updated their requirements in 2024 and Microsoft followed in 2025. And that is if you're sending bulk email to their users, DMARC is now mandatory, not a nice to have, just a requirement, or your emails will get either sent to spam or not delivered at all. Next one is trust. Properly authenticated email is how you prove to the world that your emails are genuinely yours and from you, and it's going to be the foundation that everything else is built on. So let's recap quickly. Email was designed without security in mind, which means anyone can technically send from your domain. SPF and DKIM are the tools that verify whether an email is actually coming from where it says it is, and DMARC is going to be that policy layer on top. It tells mail servers what to do when something fails, and it gives you that reporting data to see what's actually going on. And DMARC monitoring is how you turn those reports from a wall of unreadable code into something genuinely useful. So if you're not sure whether your domain has DMARC set up or not, or you want to see what email authentication actually looks like, I'll just drop a link below in the description where you can check it out. If you found this useful, hit the subscribe button and chuck us a like, and let us know what you'd like to know about the world of DMARC and email authentication in the comments. We'll see you in the next video.